Hello, everyone. Welcome along. Today, I've had the privilege to interview reporter and filmmaker Gabriel Clarke. Gabriel's obviously best known for his pitchside reporting for ITV and now his fantastic series of films, most notably for Newcastle fans, the Bobby Robson film, More Than a Manager. Today, we were discussing his new film, Finding Jack Charlton, which is available on DVD and digital download from the 23rd of November. And it is absolutely superb. Jack Charlton, obviously a former Newcastle United manager, World Cup winner with England, and a larger-than-life character. This film is absolutely superb. So here's my conversation with Gabriel. Take a look.
All right, Sam, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks for your time today. Congratulations on another masterpiece, really.
Thank
What
you.
attracted you to Jack Charlton being the focus of your next project?
Yeah, after Bobby Robson, I wasn't necessarily heading down the road of doing another Newcastle manager. It wasn't first and foremost in my mind, but I was just looking at the Irish story one day, and I don't know why it was. It just jumped into my head that time, and then what it sort of represented to Ireland that an Englishman had done this. So it was very much the initial appeal of the story was that I knew that it had been told from a sort of football perspective. For if you were Irish, those amazing couple of World Cups and the European Championships, but from a sort of UK and global perspective, I'd never really thought that Jack's success and transformative impact as an Englishman had ever really been discussed. And I rang up Andy Townsend, who I know very well, and Andy obviously was part of that time, and he agreed to that extent. He said he'd never seen anything along those lines. And then a week later, we were talking with John Charlton, and Jack came along to John's pub up in Camas, you'll know it, on the northeast coast.
Yeah.
And we'd agreed to move forward with the project, and that was about October 2018, so it's quite a long time ago. It was at that point we also realized that Jack probably wouldn't be able to do his own interview, but that we would have potentially as well another element to the film which people wouldn't have been aware of, and which the family were aware that we'd be doing, but obviously we want to do it in the right way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that the dementia side of things is absolutely heartbreaking when you look at this, what was such a larger than life character in Jack Charlton, and obviously with your previous work with Sir Bobby Robson as well, both northeast based. What do you think it is about that area that keeps churning out these larger than life characters within football, especially?
Doing a lot of the research on Sir Bobby Robson and his background, which, I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson said, and Sir Alex Ferguson was the same maybe too. It was shipyards for Sir Alex, it was the mines for Bobby and Jack. And I think that shared background gives you a real force for life. It was certainly something I think that both Bobby and Jack shared. I don't want to make too many comparisons between the two of them, but I think that the region, as far as I know, and every time I'm there, I always get a wonderful sense of what football means, how important it is, but you also get a sense of authenticity and truth, the way people are warm but straightforward. And I think both Jack and Bobby shared those qualities, but they also, I think, Jack certainly, and this wasn't something I was as aware of until I started doing the filming and looking at the archive. I mean, there are moments in the film you'll see when Jack talks about how loyal he was to his roots and how he valued that deeply, but also how he wanted also to do something more with his life. He wanted, if you like, to make those around him proud and to succeed. He wanted to be, he wouldn't have been happy with being a miner. And he wasn't saying that to denigrate those in Ashington or those communities. He was saying it because that very community and his mother and his father had given him this. And also I think it was just in him, this innate desire to do something special with his life. And so when he said that, on tape in the film, I think it's a really strong moment. And I think that area then, to a degree, gave those two guys and many other guys that you're talking about through football. Football was that way out, and they were going to grab it.
I mean, what you say there about Jack and loyalty being so important to him. One club man, obviously, in his playing career for Leeds United, but do you think that's the reason why he never played for Newcastle? But because he's related to Jackie Milburn, who's obviously after Alan Shearer, Newcastle's greatest ever goal scorer. I know he went on to manage Newcastle. Do you think that even came across in Jack's kind of mind that he maybe wasn't that bothered about playing for Newcastle, or was it just that he was just so devout and so loyal to Leeds United?
Yeah, I don't think he ever had the opportunity. I mean, obviously he played for local boys clubs to a high level, not as high as his brother did, but he played to local boys clubs to a high level in the Northeast. But I don't think, despite that family connection you're talking about, that there was ever a trial for Newcastle. And I think obviously if there was, then he would have gone along, or at least if he had one, he was rejected. So it was never, doing the research, playing for Newcastle would have been wonderful. But the opportunity to play for Leeds came almost at the same time. He's left the mines. He didn't want to be a miner. He realised that early. Didn't want to follow his father down the mine. And then it was, right, you've got two options: be a policeman or be a professional footballer. And bearing in mind his brother had already gone, I think, to Manchester United at this point. So Jack went to Leeds. Leeds gave him the chance. And yeah, I think he was loyal to Leeds after that. And Leeds obviously was able, he had a rough spell at Leeds early in the 1960s. He was a bit off the rails. He was a bit of a bad lad. Don Revie came in as manager. Don Revie was coach at Leeds, then got the top job early in the 60s. And he gave Jack an ultimatum. You've got some potential, sort yourself out, dedicate yourself to your career, or don't and leave. And that knocked Jack into shape. I think Jack, was such a strong personality, even at that young age. He needed Revie's guidance and Revie almost to bully him a bit. And he responded to that. And then he was part of this incredible Leeds team, which enabled him to be part of an incredible England team.
Yeah, I mean, as well, fortunately, he was lucky enough to manage, Newcastle were lucky enough to have him manage them. An incredibly transitional time, and he gave a few, now known young players a chance when he was manager there. You like so Chris Waddle and Gascoigne was coming through the setup. Do you think youth was a massive part of his managerial style, because he was obviously quite an uncompromising character, that he could mould these youth players into the way he wanted to play football as opposed to dealing with more senior figures? I
think he could do both, really. And I think his career, certainly with Ireland, shows he could do both. And I know you won't want to hear it too much, but he did a heck of a job at Middlesbrough. And, and at Middlesbrough, he certainly did both. He inherited some good senior players. But, I mean, there was a young Graham Souness at Middlesbrough, who, again, was a difficult character and had come up from Tottenham, where he'd shown all this talent but too much edge for Bill Nicholson. And Jack sorted him out, and Jack essentially enabled Graham to become this holding midfielder who would win everything with Liverpool. So I think Jack could do both. He obviously enabled players like Gazza and Waddle to come into the Newcastle team. I mean, I think they were prodigious talents. So I think that, that it would have taken a very stubborn, maybe ignorant manager to not select them.
I don't know. We've had a few of them down the years.
Yeah. Well, I think Jack knew how good those guys were, and as tricky as Paul Gascoigne might have been at that young, precocious age, he obviously was a talent that you could not select. The same obviously with Chris Waddle and the lad from the sausage factory who had to come in and get his chance. But Jack showed, I think, that willingness to, if it was good for the team and if it meant leaving out a star player, he'd leave the star player out. He was very, very clear on that. It was something he'd picked up from Ramsey, because Alf Ramsey essentially selected Jack because Jack was the centre half who worked best with Bobby Moore as a partnership, but he wasn't the best centre half, the second best centre half to Bobby Moore in the country at that time. But Sir Alf said to him, listen, you're in because you fit the system best. not necessarily because you're the best player. And Jack took a lot from that information, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Just finally then, before my time is up, what do you think was Jack's one overriding quality as a human being?
Well, I think he had many, and hopefully the film gives you an insight into that. I think he had, I'm hoping for all fans of football and fans of Jack Charlton that they'll see in this film, I think, that as a manager, he wasn't just the simple sort of knock it long and get behind him. It wasn't as simple as that. He thought an awful lot about the tactical ways in which his team should play. He thought an awful lot about man management and how to deal with men and to get the best out of them. He thought a lot too about people that he worked with, non-players, and how to get the best out of them. I think his supreme quality was this stubbornness mixed with that drive that we talked about that was from his roots. And I think that made for an exceptional man and an exceptional career. And hopefully in the film you'll see that the notes that we got of Jack's, he made these notes throughout his managerial career that the family showed us, which give you a real insight into Jack's thought process, personally as well, in relation to his brother, how maybe some of that stubbornness obviously wasn't always great when it came to certain relationships, but it was at the heart, I think, as it is with a lot of truly great men, and he is a truly great British figure, of why they're able to live these lives that reach a sort of epic tale proportion.
Thank you very much for your time, Gabriel. Really appreciate that.
Thanks very much for your support. Hope it goes well.
Yeah, brilliant. And whenever you're sick and tired of, well, whenever you're not sick and tired of doing these press interviews, we'd love to have you on the podcast one day.
Yeah, give me a shout. It'd be good to have you on.
Brilliant. So there you have it. Once again, Finding Jack Charlton is available on DVD, Blu-ray and digital download on the 23rd of November. For more information, head to findingjackcharlton.com. And for his previous film, Bobby Robson, More Than a Manager, that is on our Newcastle Fans TV Amazon page. See you all soon.